So it's a little bit frustrating. And then the clip that you sent me with the guy who was just breaking down all of these, incredibly poignant facts. And I know that we're into this one, so I don't want to kind of blow our load, so to speak, and play him, because I think what he was saying was so incredible. But it's a bigger conversation, and more people are going to have to step up to the plate, Len, as business owners, both on a small and a large scale. Like you've mentioned it before, if an Amazon wants to come into a community, there needs to be a laundry list of shit that they have to do to improve the community they're coming into. If we're going to offer you millions of dollars in tax breaks and things like this, you need to build us 10 schools. You need, or at least the schools that are going to be catering to the people that work for you, and you should be putting up housing. I'm speaking right now to the Jeff Bezos who sits up there, and who wants to protect his richest man in the world status. And I'm not hating on Jeff Bezos because he donates to a lot of causes. But what I'm saying is, what happened to the person? Like, at some point, you have to become accountable for yourself. Like, so if as a business owner, I like that you're honest about it. Like, for my family, to the employees that committed to them in a way, like that was something that my uncle just always wanted to do. Like, if he could find a way, like, okay, so to not have a car payment, company car, here you go, right? Like, it was never about, because you already know, the more profit your business makes, the more taxes you have to pay.
No, you're talking about spreading the wealth among your employees. And that boils
but that's the choice that you make.
That boils down directly to your
core and who you are and what you want.
Your belief system and whatever. But, when you have companies that have 600 employees and, so on and so forth, it's difficult. And a McDonald's, a single McDonald's franchise probably makes a couple $100,000 a year in profit, but it doesn't make a tremendous amount.
Part of what that guy was talking about, too, is that, stop looking at your employees as expendable, and maybe they'll stop looking at the job as replaceable. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't you want employees that would want to invest in your company? Like, why wouldn't you want employees that feel valued? Why wouldn't you want employees that don't have to commute for 2 hours each way to come to their minimum wage job, that hate you indirectly because they're just miserable in their life and they're trying to get something on their resume? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's wild to me. Like, I feel like your business is going to be most productive when you have happy people.
No, you're right. But you can also tell people, if you're not happy, you're fired.
But sometimes it's not that they don't love what they do, but if you're not, like, again, if you can't keep the lights on, if you can't keep your kids clothed, if you can't pay for the gas it's taking you to get from your house that is now an hour away because that's the only thing that you could afford, that's a lot of pressure that you're bringing into your place of business every single day. You know what I mean? And eventually you have a breaking point too. And these are the conversations that need to happen. And it needs to happen from the big ass corporation. It's so crazy to me how everything is so connected. And when you think about it, and then you think about where we're at and all the shit that we about, it's like, what do you expect? Like, oh, health in this country is suffering. Well, what do you expect? You know what I mean? People in this country are angry and they're doing wild shit and they're acting out. Well, what do you expect? Like, people are bucking the system. They're pissed at the government. Like, whatever. What do you expect? People hate to go to work. What do you expect? Like, it's just when you look at it, but then you have a guy like you. And again, this isn't this. You just represent on this podcast business owners. Y'all are frustrated too. I can't get anybody to work. Like, we hear it all the time. A bunch of places.
I can't get anybody to work because there's a bunch of idiots out there.
Well, that's
my biggest problem.
But again, Lenny, we talk about education on this podcast all the time. What do you expect?
Yeah, no, I'm 100%.
Like, we have the answers to everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything makes sense if you just rewind the tape a little bit and watch what is unfolded to get us to this point. Like, we have nobody to blame but ourselves. Yet all we do is continue to do the same thing, continue to about the same shit. Like, I loved what that guy said, and hopefully when we come back for the next episode, we'll play him, because again, I know we're too far into this one. Mm-hmm. But like, what he said is we constantly try to pick up the conversation at the problem, right? Yep. And then all we want to do is about it. But we don't go back to the beginning.
People go through life with their blinders on, and they don't, it's part of the problem of taking critical thinking out of the education system is, people don't think for themselves, and they don't look and they don't research. They just go by what they're told.
But to the people who want Americans to be more patriotic, right? To look at us as one, as a community. Doesn't that start with looking out for each other? Doesn't that start with making sure your neighbor can stay in their home? Doesn't that
but
start?
Here's the thing about small business owners. Small business owners, for the most part, are those people. They're struggling also.
Facts.
I've had people ask, "Oh, well, I wish I was in your shoes." Here you go. You write the bills. When there's not enough money in the account to pay your employees, you reach in your pocket. They, you can hate on all the small business owners and think that they're not.
Yeah.
Because this is the mentality of people who make minimum wage or not enough money to live. Small business owners are struggling just like you. There's a reason that 90% of small businesses fail in the first year. Okay, there's a reason.
But that's always been.
Yes,
Correct.
It's always been.
Okay.
But the small business owners can't fix your wage problem because they're barely surviving in their thing. Now, when you get into large corporations, stuff like that, you can fix some things, but you can't give someone a living wage if you're not making money.
But I also think that there's just a disconnect. There's not that same sense of community and mass that you used to see. If you went to a mechanic, right, the same people worked at your auto body shop forever, right? And then their kids came in and worked there forever.
Employees have got more transient, that's definite.
But they've gotten more transient. Why? Because they can't afford to stay put. Because people are always so quick to take a dime and a dollar over people. But there's a short-sightedness. But even in sports, right? How often do you hear people be mad about the NFL? Remember when, if you loved the Dolphins, the 72 Dolphins, all the guys that played on the 72 Dolphins played on for the 70s as a whole. They were a couple episodes ago when it came to politics. And I was like, what I'm scared about is this is speaking to the character of our countrymen and women, right? And this is the same thing. This is speaking to the character of us as a society. If we're continuously willing to prioritize profit over people, it's never going to get any better, ever.
That's the root of all evil in this country.